My first tournament was in California, and when we went out there, I met Marc Riley. He was great at that age.
Big shout out to Marc Riley.
Yo, Riley.
All right, we're back. We had to jog some memories real quick. But you know what? Because the Waterloo tournament was so notorious for various different reasons, right? What? Let's break down that tournament because there's a lot of Waterloo people out there, right? That might be listening, because that's all in the Midwest area, right? What about the Waterloo tournament do you remember being those issues that you initially spoke of in part one? Because it appeared to be the teams in Waterloo that we were playing mainly kept adding in new players every game throughout the tournament because they wanted to win.
Right. So they would.
And how old were you at that time? And what was it like playing with the older kids at that time, which would have been Tone, Derek Nelson, and Randy Hodges, right?
Tone, Derek Nelson, Randy Hodges, and Brad McNeil.
Yeah. What was that experience like for you? Because you would have been in what grade?
I think they were going to 10th, so we were going into 7th or whatever. Yeah, after 6th grade.
Yeah.
So I was with it, but I basically was like, I played my position. I came in, did what I had to do, spell them guys, and went from there. Because I think Crowder started all the older guys, and I think he had Nevin go out there, as the other guard or whatever. Because it was Derek Nelson, Randy, Brett, Tone, I think Nevin, and we all spelled them and came in and did our thing. And but what they were doing in Waterloo was it was double elimination tournament, and every time I think we lost that first game because they and I think we won the second game, and they started slipping in older dudes, because the tournament was like 2 or 3 days, and every time we would play, they always got like 17, 18-year-olds and dudes with big muscles. I mean, they were way bigger than us, older than us. Yeah. So Crowder seeing the writing on the wall, puts the call in. Derek Nelson calls. Next thing I know, Randy and Brett and all them were coming across the street to the church a couple hours later.
Couple hours later?
From
Minneapolis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this would have been kind of like an experiment at the time for McRae. Because we wasn't really an older team for Brett and Tone in that age group, but this was a special tournament where where Dad had incorporated older kids that was in high school.
Right. Probably, it's probably an extension of what he had going on, the respect and all that. Like I said, he knew people, so he told Derek Nelson, or him and Derek Nelson might have collaborated on it. Yeah. I don't know, but I know Derek Nelson put the call in.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, a couple hours later, we see Brett and Randy Hodges, because we're young, man. What don't they look like? Well, it was like that in the front of the church.
Okay.
And I remember we stayed at the church, but anyway, they came across. And then the next game, man, Brett got out there dancing with that rock, Tone, Big Randy. Next thing you know, we was whooping everybody.
So that tournament was a very, from what I remember, because I was probably one of the younger ones on the team, that tournament felt real tense.
Yeah, it was, because they wanted to beat us. That's why they were bringing all them older dudes in, and when like in a boxing match, the dude gets his stuff off, and then the dude comes back and bam, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. Your dad checkmated him.
Right.
Calling Brett down, Brett and Randy and them. So when he did that, it was checkmate.
Because shout out to Waterloo, Iowa.
Right.
Shout out to the players that played in that particular tournament.
Reverend Gaines in the church.
Yep. And because we spent the night, we were staying inside of the church.
Staying at the church.
Yep. But also, do you remember this name? Shout out to Dr. Rock.
Dr. Rock, Dr. Rock,
Dr. Rock was one of the radio personalities, I believe, in Waterloo at the time. Shout out to my man Scott Red, because he knows this story. He's the president and CEO at Sabathany Community Center now. He's originally from Waterloo, Iowa. But Dr. Rock was one of the radio personalities who was also coaching one of the Waterloo teams.
Right. You just jogged my memory. Yeah, I remember that name or whatever. If I remember right, yeah.
Yeah. So talk about what kind of impact was that tournament for you as a younger player, watching the older crew come in from over north, Brett, Tone, Randy, and Derek Nelson. What was that like being a part of that and seeing that whole collaboration between the younger kids, which would have been you, and the older kids, which would have been that crew that I just named? What kind of impression was that like for you at a young age?
Well, like I say, at this point, like I'm starting to get like I'm basically. I mean, how can you describe it? Like, you know, you're preparing something, you're mixing it up. I'm becoming, in my mind anyway, a good basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know basketball, you can see Brett, and Tone, who didn't get his props like myself. But Brett is that guy who, you can see, dude, that dude's gonna be in the NBA. Or he's gonna be close, So Brett Lightweight is a legend already over north. So, and even though our families knew each other, my dad's family and Brett's family, I didn't really have a relationship with Brett at this point. But I started being around him, during this time and then after. But I could just see, I could see the talent in all of them. But basically you developing, and then you want to be like, you looking at them. I want to be like him, so that make you dig even deeper as far as physical, the mental, all that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's how that impacted me as far as basketball wise, and being around Brett. Like I said, Brett. Then you knew his brother Bronson.
Yep.
So you like, man, I want to be like them.
Those were the classic North High era.
Yeah.
Yeah, the North High teams of the early to mid '80s.
Right.
Yeah.
And just knowing, like I said, being around Brett, and you knowing he's the one that's gonna take off once to go off, but you're not thinking that, you're not knowing that he's gonna take, but that dude's good.
Mm-hmm.
Tone, you already knew Tone was good.
Tone was solid.
Yeah.
Tone was solid.
Oh yeah, Tone was on the level too. Yeah.
Do you think Tone, looking back on, or just in general, Tone was one of the most solid point guards I've ever seen from that age group?
Heart and soul of the team. He was the dog. He was a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? Like Tone to put you on his back. If you ride him tight, put that arm down, spin you, hit you with that other arm. You know what I'm saying? And run right past you. He could shoot. And then I don't care if he was 10 feet tall. He'll drive on you and knock you on your behind defensively, talk crazy to you. All that. He was who talks crazy in the league now? He was that guy though. Talk crazy to you, was tough.
Tone.
Yeah.
So, all right. So look at this. So big shout out to all those names mentioned, right? But this is the picture of Monroe, that Monroe team. And in our records, we have the McRae team winning that national AAU tournament, and the year was 1983. That Waterloo tournament was in '82.
Okay.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So just like when we paused for the cause, Waterloo was before the AAU national tournament in Monroe, Louisiana.
Right. Okay. Yeah. If that's how it was. Yeah. If that's how. Yep.
Yeah. Talk about that trip to Monroe. What was that? Because this would have been the first time a team from Minnesota participated in such a big kind of national tournament. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think people knew about what AAU was, of course, back then.
Right.
What was that like for you finding out you were going as what grade was you in? Because this would have been a 12
Like
and under?
anything after sixth
Sixth
grade,
grade, sixth grade, right?
sixth, seventh grade, yeah,
Yeah.
anything after that.
So when you found out that you were going to a national tournament in Monroe, Louisiana, what was that like at such a young age?
Well, for me, like I said, man, I don't be trying to, I don't want to toot my own, but at this point in time, the legend's growing inside. But like I said, and to this day, Minnesota, I like I said, nobody could see me. I always had when I started being around your dad, dealing with your dad, I'm always like, oh, I'm going to try and get this dude in Chicago. And we had cable, but we would have like WGN. It's not cable of today, but you had WGN, so you'd be watching dudes from Chicago and all that. Then you would hear about dudes from Brooklyn, New York, and all that, and LA Crenshaw and all that. So me, I'm like, in my mind, I'm going down here to test my skill out. And they're saying this dude's in the seventh grade or sixth grade or whatever. He's just as good or he's the best player. So in my mind, I'm going down there to settle this score because y'all gonna pay attention to me up here. You know what I'm saying? Us up here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was mentally. I always had that in my mind, man. I'm going down here to play this dude and let this dude know what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I always looked at it, no matter who it was.
What position were you playing at that time?
Well, we weren't that tall then, so I was already probably 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah,
so
you was one of the tallest on the team.
Yeah. So I'd probably be 3, 4 hovering. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is with me, I could play and I could score anywhere. So I play. Crowder didn't like, oh, you're a center, get down there and post up. If he knew I had somebody I could post him, get your ass down there. Excuse my language.
No, that's cool.
But he knew I could score anywhere, so he let us run. You know what I'm saying? Like Derek was our 5, but Derek's handles is up there with a Kenny Anderson or Isaiah or Kyrie or something. In my top, Tim Hardaway. Derek's in my top 5 dribblers nationwide all time, NBA on down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let me rewind a little bit.
Right.
Because in 1982, we went to a tournament in Van Nuys, California. This is the picture right here.
Yeah.
So that would have been you, Derek, Willie
Mace.
No, not Willie. Dale Smith, Justin Jogaga,
athletic dude, yeah, very athletic.
Dietrich Henderson, yeah. Ricardo,
right.
Myself and Nevin Taylor.
Yeah.
What do you remember about? Mark, we went to Van Nuys, California. That's unheard of.
Right.
For this kind of a young team.
The legend of your dad.
Yeah. What was that like, man? Because Waterloo is one thing.
Right.
Well, you went to Monroe, Louisiana, and Van Nuys, California, all in kind of close proximity of time period. What was it like going to Van Nuys, California for that tournament?
Well, to be honest, we ended up playing against Don McLean, who happens to be the leading scorer of UCLA history. Not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Don McLean. We played against a couple other NBA players, but who had a 12, 13-year career. But anyway, I remember specifically, my mom was scared to fly by herself, so I didn't get to take the road trip to Los Angeles, because Van Nuys, for you that don't know, is a suburb of Los Angeles.
You mean you flew?
Yeah, I flew up there.
Oh, you flew.
Yeah, I flew up there. Yep, got to LAX, then we got out there to y'all.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah, my uncle brought us, me and my mom out there, but my mom was, I don't know, she hadn't flown in a while, but my dad worked for the airline, so I think I waited a couple days, had to stay in whatever it was, but I flew out there and met y'all, and it was a good game. I think they kind of cheated. Don McLean was hitting us. He was 6'10" already. But they beat us by 5, I think.
What grade was you in 1982? Do you remember?
That was a 7th grade game. Right
7th grade?
Yeah, I remember that. Because we only lost to maybe 1 or 2 teams our age group.
Yeah.
And so anyways, when they beat us, I think we won the rest of the games. We played this big old Charles Barkley type dude from California. You know what I'm saying? We played a couple different teams. I think we went like 3 or 4-1 in that tournament.
Okay.
So
and Don McLean went on to play for who in the league?
Shit.
Wasn't it? Didn't he play for the Washington?
76ers, I think Washington. He had a 10, 12-year career, made about 40, 50 million. He was solid, reputable, and like I said, he's an all-time leading scorer in UCLA, I think, to this day. If not, he's top 5, but I know he broke Kareem's record. So like I said, your dad exposed us to dudes that would potentially go on to the NBA
at an early age,
6th grade.
Right.
I'm talking about 6th grade. That's why I said mentality-wise, I had that mentality of L.A. Crenshaw. Just now, I'm Washburn down and get out of here with all
right. Because when you're being exposed to this kind of upgraded experience, it naturally impacts your mentality.
Yeah,
if this is something that you're taking very seriously.
Yeah, that, and then you're like, no, like I said, no disrespect, but Minnesota wasn't on my level, wasn't on my level at all. To this day, and I appreciate the fact that we got 12, 13 guys in the NBA now, due to your dad planting that seed, and we still don't get the recognition, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, check this out. Let's take another break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the big trip, and that would have been Denver to Vegas.
Right.
All right, we'll be back.